Hi, my name is Todd Damren, and I'm presenting my take on disasters in the United States. Data I use is from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA's website. This is open source data available to the public. I joined the two data sets in this analysis. One was about disasters themselves, and the other is focused on the funds FEMA allocated. The data is presented from 1992 to 2018. I found the earlier years' records to be only partially complete. I chose this dataset because I'm an emergency manager, and having access to Tableau as part of UMGC's Data 620 gave me access to a tool easily capable of visualizing this data. Through my analysis, I intend to draw attention to the changing phenomena that disasters are becoming more of a financial burden than people realize. So let's start with frequency. This graph shows the number of incidents year over year. The top portion of the graph indicates there is some variability for natural disasters. This can be the result of natural phenomena like El Nino and La Nina. But starting in 1999, there is a pretty consistent floor. The bottom portion of the graph represents the running sum of incidents. You'll notice the first 6 years are relatively flat, but then increase steadily after that. I ran a linear regression line and produced an R squared of 0.965, which is pretty good. If I use this filter over here, I can reduce the years in the range to 1999 and beyond. When I do that, the linear regression increases to an impressive 0.994. This gives me confidence that the events have been occurring consistently and are likely to continue to do so. So now let's move into costs. This graph is similar to the previous graph, but instead represents the funds allocated as a part of the overall response. This look indicates that there's more variability in year-over-year costs as seen by the spikes in the data. To emphasize how substantial these spikes are, I can tell you that from 1992 until 2000, the total amount that FEMA allocated was $125 billion. Since that time, there were actually 5 years that exceeded that number itself. The running sum is also less linear than it was when compared to the incidence over time graph. When we look at the linear regression for this comparison, we get a lower R squared of 0.914. If we tighten it up like we did last time, to 1999 and beyond, the R squared number actually becomes less aligned, returning a value of 0.904. This indicates to me that variability is increasing. Next, I want to take a look at the data geographically. I've taken the previous two charts and made two maps. Here we see a couple of details right off the bat. For most of the country, disasters are an infrequent event. In the past 26 years, most counties in this color are this green color, which indicates a fewer number. Some are blank, which indicates they haven't had any disasters, and it appears that Texas has the most frequent. When we look at the funds allocated by state, you might notice that a lot of states have this bluish color, which aligns with the map above. Texas is also a different color, which makes sense. But you'll notice some of the other states are different colors. Given there's nothing unique about their frequency, does this mean that the governors are exceptional at requesting funds? Or perhaps if we move through time, we might notice something. From the previous graph, we know that there were spikes in costs in a few different years, so let's see what happens there. To baseline, we're going to go back to the year 2000. You're going to see what this map looks like, and it's a little bit different. And then 2001, we can tell that a large number of funds were allocated due to an event in New York. 2005, it looks like funds were allocated to the Gulf Coast. 2008, Iowa was a recipient of funds. 2012, again, it was New York. And in 2017, it was Puerto Rico. So given that we have these 5 different years, perhaps we can identify what 5 events may have occurred. Which brings us to our last graph. This graph represents the costliest events ranked in descending order. I changed the color of the top 5 to draw attention to them. You can actually see that there's over 1,000 events. In fact, a Pareto graph would show that 80% of the costs are actually attributed to only 2% of events. Let's have a look at the details of the top 5 and see if they explain some of those earlier observations. What you'll see is that each of these is attributed to an individual event, such as Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Maria, the events of September 11th, and Hurricane Sandy. So in conclusion, we've seen that the top 5 most expensive U.S. disasters have all occurred in the past 17 years. And I believe these occurrences of these events will become more frequent. More analysis would be required to determine the cause, such as aging infrastructure, climate change, or politics. While I believe the federal government is the only one capable of financing this type of aid, I think the impact of disasters will continue to be more and more extreme and will cost more than the average American realizes, meaning if FEMA wants to continue to fulfill its mission, continued analysis and intervention is required. Thanks for watching.